Welcome back, guys. In this video, we're going to be going over today's movements in the market, as well as a topic that I've wanted to discuss for a while. Why exactly the crypto market will likely, by the end of 2018, see a rally. So I wanted to discuss this for a while, and I figured I'd make a video so you guys can give me your thoughts. And we'll also touch on my feelings of Ethereum actually rallying stronger than Bitcoin, most likely by the end of this year. So if you guys want to hear more about that, stick around for the end of the video. But starting it off, let's take a look at today's price movements. Bitcoin down about 0.51%. So not a lot of movement there, but across the market overall, we are seeing more red than green. But jumping into the technical analysis of Bitcoin, on the daily, we are seeing not a lot of movement. So I wanted to bring up the Bollinger Bands today, something that you usually don't see on my technical analysis. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because the fact that we are starting to see a very narrow period of or channel that we are actually trading in is actually a good sign for a large move, either to the upside or the downside, that we'll get into a little bit later with that less volatility. But overall, on the daily, we are kind of still in that limbo period where we don't know if we're going up or down. As you can see, that statement will be supported by the MACD as well as the RSI. We're kind of just sitting in the middle. I'm not really sure where we're going to move. So again, that also contributes to my belief that we will see a large move somewhere soon here, either towards the upside or to the downside. Of course, my feeling is most likely towards the upside, but we'll get into that a little bit more. So jumping into the 4 hour, again, in that limbo period, you can see here with the volume marks on the MACD, as well as just on the regular charts, the volume overall has kind of been conflicted in a way. We've clearly been trading in a very narrow path here, really only in the $6,000 level. So at some point we would expect to break out of that. But up until now, we have not. So discussing where we could be headed for the next few months, I think, is an important subject to go over in a time where we're seeing low volatility like this, to allow people to capitalize on the upcoming opportunities. So jumping in with the first article, why the crypto market will likely rally by the end of 2018, experts discuss. So historically, over the past 9 years, Bitcoin has experienced 4 major corrections, all of which led Bitcoin to decline by more than 80% in value. The correction in the crypto market experienced in 2018 resulted in a 69% drop in the price of Bitcoin, with some other cryptocurrencies like BNB and EOS recording smaller losses. And then Ethereum actually dropped 89%. 87 to 89%. So instead of 69, 87 to 89% for Ethereum, which is why we'll get into a little bit more why I feel Ethereum has a better shot at rallying than Bitcoin. But in August 2010, August 2011, January 2014, and of course this year, Bitcoin demonstrated 70 to 80% losses against the US dollar. So you can see these charts here, compare each one: August 2010, August 2011, 2014, 2018, and of course August 2010, 7.5 cents. That's pretty surprising. August 2011 as well. But moving on, as we continue down, the market seems to have recalibrated after the entry of so many new market participants with different beliefs and expectations than those who held Bitcoin prior to 2017. Neither long-term investors nor new speculators have changed their positions much this summer. This suggests that the market will make a major move, for better or worse, only in response to a fundamental change. So I really want to highlight that last part, only in response to a fundamental change. This is very important because I've been saying this for months now. Really the only thing that can move the markets at this point needs to be a fundamental change to the market. And what does that mean? Well, a fundamental change would have to be an actual twist or adaptation of the cryptocurrency markets, whether that's regulation, whether that's a Bitcoin ETF, whether that may be, the Ethereum futures that may be coming out the end of this year. It needs to be an actual change in the market conditions. It can no longer just be what we saw back in, again, December and January, that hype that everybody got, FOMO train. It can no longer just be something like that. It needs to be a real fundamental change. So keep that in mind as we continue on. The maturity of the Bitcoin market has been evident in the stability of Bitcoin since August 6 over the past 2 months. Bitcoin has remained stable in the 6,300 to 6,800 range, rarely breaking out of the 6,800 resistance level. And of course, this goes back to the fact that I was talking about. We've really been trading in a very slim, narrow path. So especially lately, the past few days, we've really only covered movements between 6,300 and between 6,800. So again, showing that very small range that we've been trading in, comparative to where Bitcoin's traded in the past, can definitely show a sign that we may be looking upon a larger move to the upside or the downside in the next few months. So the increase in the stability of Bitcoin has allowed the market to become less sensitive to hype and specific events. So before I get into the next sentence, I just want to explain this a little bit more. It's become less sensitive to hype and specific events. So this does not mean like an actual change in the market conditions, because obviously that would have a large impact on Bitcoin and the prices of the cryptocurrency market. But when we just have news stories or, of course, hype, or the opposite of hype, when people are trying to, push the price down, I think that is a maturity sign of the market, and that we may be ready for some of these large catalysts to come in, similar to what we've discussed in the past, regulation, a Bitcoin ETF. One of the things that the SEC actually pointed out with the ETF is that they wanted to see Bitcoin and the market become more stable. So this could be a possibility to allow for the Bitcoin ETF to be confirmed possibly by the end of 2018, as it did get delayed until December. But major positive developments in the cryptocurrency sector, such as the formation of Backed by Microsoft, Starbucks, and ICE to improve the accessibility and liquidity of Bitcoin, barely had any impact on the short-term price trend. So before I get into the rest, I just want to say this article is very long, so if you guys do want to read it and check it all out for yourself, it has a lot of good information in here. We're not going to cover the whole thing just because obviously I don't want to read through the whole thing and bore you guys, but it's just titled this, and you can go ahead and search it up. It was just posted a few days ago, September 27th. But continuing on, I wanted to touch on a few of the main points that they put out here. So obvious trend of Bitcoin volatility between 6,000 and 8,000. I wanted to highlight that mainly because that coincides with the fact that I just said we've been really trading in a narrow path. So getting even more narrow lately really shows that the market could be in store for a very large move, depending if that's towards the upside or the downside. But continuing on, entrance of institutional investors. Now, this is obviously something that I feel is 100% will allow the market to grow. I have no doubt in my mind that we'll see growth from the market once we see institutional investors have a way into the market, an accessible way into the market. So throughout 2017, especially as the crypto market achieved an all-time high of 800 billion, talks of potential entrance of institutional investors intensified. So this is something that we are going to see obviously over time, but there's just this sentence highlights it pretty well. There are many investors where custody is the last barrier. Over the next year, the market will realize that safekeeping is a solved problem, and this will release a large capital wave. So in the past, custody, being able to keep your investments safe, has been a problem, but with introductions of Coinbase custody as well as some other exchanges like Gemini as well, helping this problem, this is really no longer a problem. So right here, custody isn't binary. It's not like Coinbase custody will launch and suddenly every pension will throw 100 million into Bitcoin. It takes time for custody solutions to gain trustworthiness. And of course it goes on, but as you can see, these problems are being solved. It's just going to take time for the solutions to actually implement themselves into the market and for people to take notice. So they highlight a few other points, but of course, rising developer activity, that's a great point to note on. And of course, the bubble burst build rally trend, I would love for you guys to read into that, because that really talks a little bit more about how market cycles perform. Basically, it talks about how a bubble is formed, when it bursts, and of course how you build back and rally back up towards all-time highs again after a bubble is seen like that. So last point I wanted to highlight is that Ethereum will rally strong up to 1900 by the end of 2018. So of course, major altcoin Ethereum is about to see a trend reversal and rally strongly up to 1900 per token by the end of 2018, according to Fundstrat head of research Tom Lee, as Bloomberg reported by September 27th. So Ethereum actually had a drop of 87%, 87 to 89% from its all-time high throughout this year. So for me, Ethereum is more so than Bitcoin a better buy. Due to the fact that it's been through a lot more, and also there's a larger chance that we've seen the bottom for Ethereum. As to Bitcoin, we could still see a further drop in Bitcoin's price, but I think overall we've really seen that bottom around 163. I think it got to for Ethereum, where that was a 87 to 89% retracement. So I want to get your guys' thoughts. So of course, leave them in the comments here, but I want to hear, do you guys think there will be a push up in the overall market by the end of this year? Do you think there will be a rally? Do you think the bigger move will be to the bottom side? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. But besides that, that is going to be the end of this one. I just wanted to make this video overall covering some of my feelings regarding a crypto market rally by the end of 2018, because for the last few months I really didn't see one happening, but as further developments have come through the market and the market has stabilized a little bit more, I feel as though it's more probable that we will see some sort of rally in the next few months or so. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. But besides that, I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.